Rain hammered against the cracked highway as dusk bled into night. The wind carried the metallic scent of a coming storm, and with every breath she took, her lungs burned. Arya Malik didn't dare look back, not even once. She already knew what she'd see: the headlights. The same set of predatory headlights that had stalked her for the last 30 minutes. Her boots slapped the wet asphalt. Her soaked hair clung to her cheeks. Her fingers trembled around the small object she had tucked inside her jacket, a flash drive no bigger than her thumb, the only evidence of what she had witnessed in the underground lab earlier that evening. Something she was never meant to see, something worth killing for. Another roar of an engine thundered behind her. They were closing in. Arya's breath hitched. The dark silhouette of a black SUV swerved, tires shrieking as it cut across both lanes to block her path. The passenger window slid down, revealing a man she recognized instantly. Silas Dane, the man whose cold smile haunted half the city's whispers. The man she had seen ordering 2 scientists to be silenced, permanently. His voice crackled through the storm. "Arya, stop running. You know you can't outrun us." Arya spun and sprinted the opposite direction, toward the old service road. The one she prayed still led somewhere, anywhere. But her legs were exhausted, trembling violently. She knew she couldn't keep this up. A second SUV screeched onto the highway behind her, 2 vehicles now, trapping her like a mouse. Her heart pounded against her ribs, begging to burst free. She stumbled, caught herself, and pushed harder. Lightning cracked the sky open, illuminating the old gravel turnoff to her right. She darted toward it. The gravel was loose, the incline steep. Each step sent stones sliding beneath her feet, but she climbed anyway, half running, half crawling. Behind her, men yelled, car doors slammed, footsteps pounded after her. Silas's voice echoed like thunder. "Bring her back alive. The others don't matter." Arya's blood ran cold. She wasn't the only one they were after. She cleared the top of the incline, her breath coming in shattered pieces. Below her, the road she had been on stretched empty in one direction and abandoned in the other. No traffic, no houses, no lights, no help. Her mind raced. She remembered rumors about this part of the state, about a club that operated outside the law. A motorcycle brotherhood known more for their violence than their mercy. The Iron Guardians, outlaws, vigilantes, ghosts of the highway. Her professor used to joke, "If you're smart, you don't go where the Guardians ride, and if you're stupid, you don't go looking for them." Arya wasn't looking for anyone, but she was out of options. She ran. The gravel road twisted between towering pines. The storm turned the forest into a blur of shadows and cold water. Her lungs screamed. Her thighs felt like fire. She forced herself to keep going. Behind her, beams of flashlights flickered through the trees. They were gaining again. Arya's vision blurred as panic threatened to choke her. She stumbled into a clearing, an open stretch of cracked concrete, like a forgotten parking lot. In the center stood an old mechanical building, its rusted metal walls covered in graffiti and bullet scars. Then she heard it, a low rumble, then another, then dozens. The ground vibrated under her feet as a column of motorcycles emerged from the darkness, headlights cutting through the downpour like burning eyes. Black leather, steel plates, chains, reinforced helmets. These weren't weekend bikers. These men were built like fortresses, and leading them was a giant. A massive biker with iron-gray hair, tattoos crawling up his arms, and eyes that looked carved from stone. His presence alone felt like thunder. He brought his bike to a slow stop, boots hitting the ground heavily, his gaze locked onto her, wet, trembling, terrified. Then behind her, Silas's men burst into the clearing. At first the Guardians didn't react, not until the bikers saw the weapons in the men's hands, not until they saw the terror on Arya's face. And then, like wolves noticing a hunter stalking a wounded fawn, the mood changed. The giant biker stepped forward, cracking his neck. "You boys," he growled, voice deep enough to shake the air, "are about 2 seconds from making the worst mistake of your lives." Silas's second-in-command sneered, raising his handgun. "Step aside. The girl comes with us." The giant didn't blink. One of the Guardians revved his engine, the sound so loud it felt like the ground would split. Another pulled off his gloves slowly, stretching his fingers like he was preparing for a symphony. Arya pressed a hand to her chest, swallowing a sob. The giant biker looked down at her. "What's your name?" he asked quietly. Arya. You runnin' from them?" "Yes," she whispered. "They'll kill me." The giant nodded once. Then he turned to Silas's men. "Name's Gravel," he said. "President of the Iron Guardians." He rested his hand on the massive steel hammer strapped to his bike. "You ain't taking her." Silas's lieutenant lifted the gun higher. That wasn't a request. Gravel's lips curled into the faintest shadow of a smile. It wasn't an answer. The clearing went silent. The storm seemed to pause, and then the first shot was fired, and the Iron Guardians moved like unleashed fury. The gunshot ripped through the clearing, sparking chaos instantly. Arya ducked instinctively, hands over her head, heart punching against her ribs as she dropped behind a rusted metal barrel. Rain hammered the ground like 1,000 bullets of its own, thunder rolling in violent waves as the world erupted around her. But the Iron Guardians didn't flinch. The first shot barely left the barrel before Gravel lunged forward. For a man his size, he moved impossibly fast, like a landslide with purpose. His hand clamped around the gunman's wrist, twisting sharply until the man screamed and dropped the weapon. Gravel's fist followed immediately, smashing into the attacker's jaw with a crack that echoed through the clearing. The man collapsed like a rag doll. A chorus of engines roared in response. The Guardians surged. Arya peeked over the rim of the barrel just as a biker with braided hair and a scar across his cheek, Ryder, she would later learn, spun his bike sideways, using the machine like a battering ram. The heavy metal slammed into two of Silas's men, sending them rolling across the wet ground. Another Guardian, a tall woman in reinforced leather named Sable, leapt off her bike and delivered a brutal kick to a third attacker, dropping him instantly. She moved with a fluid, deadly grace, her black ponytail whipping behind her. These weren't thugs. These were trained fighters. Silas's men quickly realized they were outmatched, but they didn't retreat. Instead, they tried to flank the Guardians, 6 of them, all armed. Arya's breath caught in her throat as a pair of gunmen aimed toward Gravel's back. "No!" she cried before she could stop herself. But she wasn't the only one who saw. A motorcycle engine screamed as Twitch, the smallest Guardian but apparently the fastest, launched his bike upward over a fallen log and flew through the air. The landing was messy, but his momentum carried him right into the 2 shooters. He tackled them off their feet before they could fire. The clearing erupted in grunts, shouts, and the metallic clash of weapons as the fight broke into smaller pockets. Rain turned the ground slick, bodies slipping and rolling, mud splattering across leather and steel. One of Silas's men spotted Arya. She froze. He lifted his pistol. Her scream ripped out before she could think, shrill, raw, terrified. But before he could pull the trigger, a massive shadow crashed into him from the side. Gravel slammed the attacker into the dirt, knee pinned to the man's chest, fist raised. "You touch her," Gravel snarled, "and you answer to me." The man spat blood, laughing weakly. "You have no idea who she stole from." Gravel's fist descended, ending the sentence permanently. Arya felt the ground tilt beneath her, not from fear now, something else, something heavier. Her knees buckled, and she collapsed to the cold ground, gasping for breath. Every muscle trembled. She had been running for so long, too long. And her body had finally reached its limit. The storm quieted just enough for her to hear Gravel barking orders. "Round 'em up. Anyone still breathing goes on their knees till we're damn sure they're not a threat." Some of the Guardians complied. Others retrieved weapons tossed into the mud. A few checked on each other, patting backs or muttering curses. Sable jogged toward Arya, kneeling beside her. "You hurt?" she asked, voice stern but not unkind. Arya shook her head shakily. "Just exhausted." Gravel approached, wiping blood from his knuckles with a cloth that had clearly seen too many nights like this one. His eyes, though fierce moments ago, softened when they met Arya's. "You're safe now." Safe. The word hit her so hard she almost cried. But safety was temporary. She knew that. Silas wasn't the type of man to give up, especially not on something he desperately wanted to bury. Gravel crouched in front of her. "You want to tell me," he said slowly, "why a girl like you's being hunted by a private militia?" Arya swallowed, her throat dry despite the rain. I have something he wants." Gravel's eyebrow lifted. What kind of something brings killers into Guardian territory? Arya hesitated, then reached into her soaked jacket and pulled out the small flash drive. Its metal shell glinted under the lightning. "This," she whispered. Gravel took it, frowning at the little device as if expecting it to explain itself. "What's on it?" Arya's voice shook. "Proof that Silas Dane is running illegal experiments, human experiments. They're using homeless people, refugees, anyone who won't be missed. I saw it, and they saw me." Gravel's jaw tightened, muscles shifting beneath the tattooed skin. "So you ran. I had to. I don't know who to trust. Police won't help. His people are everywhere." Ryder approached from behind Gravel. "Perez, we've got 3 injured, 5 tied up, 2 dead. "How many got away?" Gravel asked. 2, maybe 3. Hard to tell in the rain. They were hauling ass back toward the highway." Arya's stomach dropped. "If any of them reported back to Silas..." Gravel stood, his presence like a shield. "You ain't going back out there alone, that's done." Arya blinked up at him. "What do you mean?" He jerked his chin at the rest of the club. "You came running into Iron Guardian territory. That makes you our problem." "Now, our problem," she echoed. Sable smirked. "Translation, we don't let people hunt in our woods." Gravel crossed his arms, voice leaving no room for debate. "You stay with us. You tell us everything. Then we decide how to deal with this Silas Dane." Arya shook her head. "He'll kill anyone who helps me." Gravel leaned down, voice low and lethal. "Let him try!" Thunder boomed above them, and for the first time since she started running, Arya felt the cold grip of fear loosen. Just a little. She wasn't alone anymore, not with the Iron Guardian standing between her and the darkness chasing her. The storm finally eased as midnight crept over the forest, leaving only a cold drizzle that clung to Arya's skin. The Iron Guardians gathered around their battered warehouse, their headquarters, while the last echoes of the fight faded into the trees. Someone brought blankets. Someone else dragged the captured attackers under the metal awning. A few bikers patrolled the perimeter, engines humming like restless beasts in the dark. Arya shivered despite the blanket around her shoulders. The adrenaline had burned off, leaving her exhausted, trembling, and painfully aware of how close she'd come to dying. Inside the warehouse, warm yellow light spilled from open doors. Gravel gestured for her to follow. "Let's get you inside before you rust," Sable muttered with a smirk. Arya managed a weak laugh and stepped into the building. She expected chaos inside, maybe weapons racks, beer kegs, or piles of leather jackets thrown around. But the interior surprised her. Yes, it was rough around the edges, but organized. Tools hung in neat rows. A bar lined one wall. A large table dominated the center, covered in maps, radios, and mechanical parts. It wasn't just a gang hideout. It was a command center. Gravel pulled out a chair. "Sit." Arya sat. Ryder brought her a steaming mug of something that smelled like spiced tea. She wrapped her hands around it gratefully. Gravel placed the flash drive on the table and stared at it like it was a ticking bomb. "Start from the beginning," he said. Arya inhaled shakily. She had held this story in her throat for hours, running with it twisting inside her like barbed wire. Now, finally, she let the words spill out. "I'm a researcher, or I was. I worked for Dane Industries." Her voice cracked. "I thought it was a medical research company. Thought we were developing treatments for neurological disorders." Gravel exchanged a look with Sable. Ryder leaned against a shelf, arms crossed. Arya continued. 3 days ago, I accidentally walked into Lab Section C. I wasn't supposed to be there." She swallowed, fingers tightening around the mug. "But the door malfunctioned. And I saw things." Her breath faltered as memories flooded back. Cold metal tables, people strapped to them, needles, machines, blood, screams behind glass. "I heard Silas Dane himself giving orders. He said the test subjects were expendable, that failure was acceptable, and the injections, whatever they were, caused seizures, brain damage. Some of them didn't survive." Ryder cursed under his breath. Sable looked like she wanted to break something. Gravel's face turned to stone. "And this drive?" Gravel asked. "It has all the records," Arya whispered. "Logs, footage, experiment notes. I copied them when I realized what was happening. I know it was dangerous, but I couldn't just walk away." Gravel nodded slowly. "So you stole proof, and they caught me," she breathed. "Before I could get to the authorities, Silas sent his men. I've been running ever since." The room fell silent. Rain pattered against the roof. Gravel finally spoke. "Why come this direction?" Arya blinked. "I wasn't trying to. I was running blind. I didn't even know this place existed." "Lucky for you," Sable muttered. "You ran to the one group that hates men like Dane more than anyone else." Ryder pushed off the wall. "Prez, you know what this means?" Gravel rubbed a hand over his jaw. "Yeah, it means we're in the middle of something ugly." He picked up the flash drive, turning it between thick fingers. Then he looked at Arya. "You're safe here for the night. But come morning, we're making a plan." "A plan?" Arya echoed. Gravel nodded. "If this evidence is real, Dane isn't just a murderer. He's a threat to the whole damn state. And if he wants you dead—" His voice darkened. "He just picked a fight with the wrong family." Arya's throat tightened. "I don't want anyone to die because of me." Sable snorted. "Too late. They started it." Gravel straightened. "I'm posting guards. No one gets near you tonight. But Silas's men," Arya began, "ain't stupid enough to walk into Guardian land twice in one night," Ryder said. "Especially not after we painted the forest with their teeth." Despite everything, Arya almost smiled. Almost. But fear gnawed at her chest. She lowered her gaze. "I don't want to drag you into my mess." Gravel crouched so he was eye level with her. "Listen," he said quietly. "People who run to us are usually running from monsters. We deal with monsters. It's what we do." Arya felt something break inside her. A knot of tension releasing, just a little. Gravel stood and snapped his fingers. "Sable, get a room ready. Ryder, make sure the perimeter tight as a drum. Twitch and the others keep watch on the roads." They nodded and left. As Arya stood, Gravel put a gentle but firm hand on her shoulder. "One more thing," he said. She turned. "You're not alone anymore. You got the Iron Guardians behind you now." Her chest tightened. For the first time in days, she felt safe, even if only for the moment. But outside, in the shadows beyond the trees, someone watched the warehouse through binoculars. A voice whispered through a radio, target located. "She's with the Guardians." A pause, then Silas Dane's cold reply. "Good. Prepare for retrieval." Lightning lit the sky. The night wasn't over, not by a long shot. Arya woke to the sharp crack of distant thunder, or at least she thought it was thunder. But then it came again. Not thunder. Gunfire. She bolted upright in the small room Sable had shown her to, heart slamming against her ribs. The dim lamp flickered against the concrete walls, shadows twitching with every burst of noise from outside. More shots. Shouting. Engines revving. The attack had begun. Arya stumbled to the window and yanked the curtain aside just in time to see headlights slicing through the forest. Dozens of them, moving fast. Black SUVs, far more than the group that had chased her earlier, careened into the clearing around the warehouse, tires ripping up mud and gravel. Silas hadn't sent a retrieval team. He'd sent a battalion. "Damn it," Arya whispered, backing away from the glass. The hallway door burst open. Ryder stood there, breathing hard, gun in hand. "They're here. Suit up. Now." Arya shook her head frantically. "I can't fight. No one's asking you to." He tossed her a thick jacket. "But you need to move." She shoved her arms through the sleeves just as Sable appeared, grabbing Arya's wrist. "Let's go. They're coming in from the east and the tree line. Won't take them long to breach the yard." Arya's pulse hammered as they sprinted through the warehouse corridor. The walls shook with the rumble of explosions outside. She could hear the Iron Guardians rallying, yelling orders, revving their bikes, preparing for war. They burst into the main hall where Gravel stood at the center, issuing orders like a battlefield commander. "Ryder, take the left flank and keep them off the fuel tanks. Twitch, cover the back door. No one slips past you. Sable, you're with me." He turned as Arya approached. His expression changed instantly, hard lines softening just enough to show he saw her fear. "They're coming for me," she breathed. "This is my fault." Gravel shook his head. "No, this is on him, and tonight Dane learns what happens when he brings a war to Iron Guardian soil." A guardian from the watchtower above shouted, "6 vehicles breaking right. They're flanking the barricade." Gravel didn't waste a second. "Sable, get Arya to the vault." "The vault?" Arya echoed. Sable grabbed her arm. "Trust me. Move." They sprinted toward a reinforced door in the back of the warehouse, hidden behind a stack of crates. As Sable keyed in a code, the walls shook again, this time from a deafening explosion near the front entrance. Arya flinched. They have explosives? Sable's jaw tightened. Dane's not playing games. The vault door swung open, revealing a small steel room, secure, windowless, built like a bunker. Arya stepped inside, but Sable didn't follow. "You're not coming?" Arya asked. Sable shook her head. "We fight. That's what we do. Sable." Sable gripped her shoulder. "Gravel's right about one thing. You're not alone. Not anymore." Then she slammed the vault door shut. The heavy locks clicked into place. Arya pressed a hand against the cold metal. Fear clawed at her throat. She felt trapped, helpless, like she was right back in the white laboratory room where she'd first seen Silas for who he truly was. Then, boom, the entire floor vibrated. Arya stumbled back. Through the door, muffled shouts rose, followed by the unmistakable bark of automatic weapon fire. Then louder, the roar of motorcycles. She closed her eyes, breathing hard. Please, let them be okay. Outside, the Iron Guardians charged. Thunder rolled as Gravel led the first wave on foot, hammer in hand, followed by Ryder with a shotgun, and Twitch weaving between incoming fire like a ghost. Silas's men, more than 20 of them, poured into the clearing from all sides. "Light 'em up," Gravel bellowed. The Guardians unleashed hell. Motorcycles tore across the yard, engines screaming as riders swung chains, metal batons, and reinforced shields. Bullets sparked off steel barricades. Sable's dual pistols snapped with frightening precision, each shot dropping a target cleanly. But Dane's men were heavily armed. This wasn't a chase anymore. This was a siege. Ryder ducked behind a pillar as bullets ripped through the air. "Prez, we're outnumbered!" Gravel smashed a mercenary's rifle in half with a swing of his hammer. "Since when's that stopped us?" A black SUV rammed into the side of the warehouse, shaking the foundation. 2 men jumped out, firing toward the vault entrance. Gravel's head snapped up. "They're trying to breach the back! Twitch!" "I see 'em!" Twitch sped his bike straight toward the attackers, launching himself off the seat at the last second. His flying tackle took both men to the mud. The Guardians fought like demons. Every swing, every shot, every shout fueled not by aggression but by purpose. They were protecting one of their own. Whether she knew it yet or not, inside the vault, Arya paced. She couldn't sit still, not with lives on the line, not with the Guardians risking everything for her. She flew to the door, pressing her ear against it. Her stomach twisted as she heard heavy footsteps drawing closer. Not Guardian footsteps. These sounded tactical, coordinated, silent. Then, thud. Something hit the door. Arya backed away. Another thud. Then a cold voice through the steel. "Arya, open the door." "Silas Dane." Her blood turned to ice. "You can't hide behind criminals," he called softly. "They'll all be dead soon, and then you'll come with me anyway." She pressed her hands over her mouth to keep from screaming. A small explosive charge beeped against the outside of the vault door. Arya's heart stopped. Sable, Gravel. "Someone, please." A gunshot cracked loudly outside. Then another. A body hit the floor. Silas cursed, shouting, "Engage them! Push forward!" Arya collapsed to her knees. But then, the vault door's lock beeped. From the inside, she gasped and scrambled backward as the seals disengaged. The door swung open. For a terrifying second, she expected to see Silas. Instead, Gravel filled the doorway. Bruised, bleeding, half covered in mud, but very much alive. His voice was raw. "Stay behind me." Arya's knees nearly gave out. "Gravel, no time." He grabbed her hand, pulling her out. "We're getting you out of here, but your men, they're handling themselves. You're Dane's target." They ran down the side corridor, Gravel shielding her from stray bullets as Guardians clashed with mercenaries across the warehouse. But Silas wasn't finished. He stepped out from behind a support beam, pistol aimed straight at Arya's heart. "Enough." Arya froze. "You have something that belongs to me," Silas hissed. Rain plastered his hair to his head, eyes burning with fury. "And you've cost me far more trouble than you're worth." Gravel moved in front of her. Silas fired. Gravel staggered, but didn't fall. Arya screamed, but he raised a hand. "Bulletproof vest," he growled. "Hurts like hell, though." Silas tried to shoot again, but Sable dropped from a catwalk behind him, kicking the gun clean from his hand. He spun. Ryder tackled him. Gravel stepped forward, grabbing Silas by the collar and slamming him against a concrete pillar. You messed with the wrong family. Silas spat blood. I'll rebuild. I have money. Power. You think any of this will stop me? Gravel's voice dropped to a deadly rumble. No, but this will. His fist smashed into Silas's face. Once, twice, a third time. Silas crumpled. The battlefield fell silent as guardians rounded up the surviving mercenaries. Arya stared at Silas's unconscious form, trembling from head to toe. It's over? She whispered. Gravel shook his head. Not yet, but we're damn close. Ryder approached, holding the flash drive. We already sent copies to every news outlet, every federal office, and every watchdog agency in the state. Dane Industries is done. Arya's eyes flooded with tears. Not from fear, from relief so overwhelming it nearly took her breath away. Sable crossed her arms. You just toppled a monster, kid. Gravel looked at Arya, his voice softer than she'd ever heard it. You're safe now. For real this time. Arya stepped forward, emotion breaking through in a sob as she hugged him. Gravel stiffened, surprised, but relaxed after a moment, placing a careful hand on her back. You're one of us now, he said quietly. And nobody hunts our own. Outside, the first pale light of dawn broke through the clouds. The storm had passed, but the Iron Guardians remained, engines rumbling, shoulders squared, standing watch over the woman they had sworn to protect. Arya Malik had run for her life, but she didn't need to run anymore, not with the Iron Guardians at her side. The end.